Hello, I'm William Lears, and this is,
Lorna Wood.
and we just saw Last of the Time Lords. So, what did you think of this one?
I liked it. Let's see. I was thinking along the lines of the political implications we discussed last time. I was thinking of Deleuze and Guattari's book, A Thousand Plateaus. Why are you laughing?
I just love that you went there.
I think it's called A Thousand.
No,
yeah.
Go on.
Anyway, I haven't read the whole thing, but I've read a lot of it. It describes Nazism as having a war machine and a suicidal ideation. And I think we saw that, totalitarianism of all kinds of stripes, including science fiction-y ones, also has that here. So it really came into play very obviously. And again, it's more reminded of our current world, especially like when they all had to think of the doctor word at the same time. Kind of, maybe, was that before Arab Spring or?
The Arab Spring was 3 years later.
Oh, okay, so it's before that, but it kind of reminded me of that. And I kind of thought, and along those lines, then I was also thinking they kind of abandoned the wolf people. The wolf people are still just out there as the future for humanity. And I thought that was good because I think too often Doctor Who and also people in general want to say, oh, we're not really, the Nazis were, they were others, they were different, they were weird. That's not what humanity really is about. So at least we had the wolf people still out there even though we saved it and only the good people were left. I really like the trajectory of the main sort of wifey character to the master.
Lucy.
Yeah, because that's what happens when you hook up a narcissist, I'm afraid.
It's a long story we won't get into here.
Yeah, so liked all that and probably more things that I'm not even thinking of here. I like Jack, that Jack's going to kind of stay and be a superhero.
Yeah, I mean, so Torchwood season 1 was before this finale, and so apparently he sort of felt down at the end of that season, so then apparently in season 2 he's completely rejuvenated based on his experiences in this one. So I doubt we'll ever get around to watching Torchwood, but it would be sort of fun to see the connections in that.
Yeah. So I still feel a little puzzled about the first one. I don't. It just is such a disconnect. And if none of that ever happened, then where is then did the stuff at the end of the universe happen? I don't know.
Paradox.
I'm easily confused by that kind of thing, as you know from previous episodes of this.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that this episode is really doesn't seem to be not liked by a lot of people.
It is
not liked.
Oh.
So the reviews were mixed. People were constantly going, "Oh no, your mother's gonna have a fit about this episode." So I was really steeling myself for something really out there. I was like, "Oh no, it's gonna be like the Bad Wolf episode except times 10." And I don't think it ever really did that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Don't try to pigeonhole us.
Why do people? I don't even know why people would.
People really objected to what they called the Deus Ex Machina ending with the people saying doctor and that leading to him becoming young again. But I feel like that is a perfect encapsulation of what Davies is doing with Doctor Who. Doctor Who is not some grim science fiction show or some really heavy science fiction thing like what Christopher Nolan would do. It's a fairy tale that's grounded in humanist values about how we are stronger together when we lift up the little people.
And a little technobabble here.
Yeah, whatever. And how we're stronger when the little people can rise up and we are connected. And the Doctor is sort of an embodiment of that. So I thought it was just a perfect encapsulation of all of Davies' themes he's been building for 3 years now.
Right. I mean, Tinkerbell did occur to me, clap your hands and you can bring it back to life. Sure. But I guess because they had that, again, of course, very weak on from a science perspective, but at least they scaffolded it with the idea that there were these satellites out there that could direct energy, and that and obviously human energy was being used to drive the little sphere thingies. So if you had a collective brain energy going to them, apparently you could concentrate it and strengthen it. So there was like, it wasn't just a fairy tale. They did scaffold it with just enough science, and plus psychologically. And I'm always talking about how horror has to be grounded in real psychology, and I felt like this wasn't horror, but I feel in a similar way this was grounded in our feelings about what drives the Doctor, as he said.
What drives the Doctor and what drives humanity. Yeah. And that's made explicit by how she goes from town to town telling stories, not leading some militaristic resistance. And throughout all 3 episodes, there's a beat where we're like, oh no, guns are useless.
Right, and that's why they also mentioned Shakespeare twice.
Yes.
That in British Press.
So I don't understand it. I felt like this finale was perfect in terms of that. You can dispute science. You can say it's a little Tinkerbelly. But in terms of the fairy tale logic that this show is operating on, it's perfect. So I'm just really confused. So I'm looking forward to hearing why people objected to it.
I'm sorry. And I felt like Doctor was also kind of, I think it draws wisely on things. Like I think it does draw on Tinkerbell. I think it drew on the Sybil, where the Sybil becomes very tiny when it ages and gets put in a jar, but that's when it becomes a great prophet that people visit. And similarly, the Doctor, gained in wisdom and power as he got smaller and older, contrary to what the Master expected.
Yeah. And then also people didn't like that the Doctor was so sidelined. But again, that's what Davies is trying to do. He's trying to make the companion more than just, a token human to exposit things to or a token thing to draw ratings. So I like that the companion, Martha, was the main driver of the plot. I thought that was really good. And again, it was in representing Davies' faith in the everyday human.
Right.
And so that the 2 immortal gods, Jack and the Doctor, can't do anything. It's the humans that have to do with something. So again, I really like that Martha was the focus, not Doctor or Captain Jack.
Right, and she doesn't do anything superhuman-y. I mean, it's just a quest where she tells tales, which is great. What a lot of human heroes have done in many, many epics.
And there's a byline throughout the season of whether it's Shakespeare, she's learning the value of stories, of a Doctor telling the stories of Gallifrey. So she's learning about the power of stories throughout. So again, I felt like it was really consistently set up throughout the season that this would be her culmination point. Like the reset button with the whole Earth not being destroyed, again, I didn't really mind because that would be a lot to deal with on a show like Doctor Who, 1. And 2, it wasn't like all the characters just forgot it ever happened, which is one of my huge problems with reset buttons. Like on Voyager, and they were doing that because then it's like, well, what was really learned? Like it was nice for us, but what was really learned? Here, the main characters remember, and they are affected by the experience. Martha decides she should stay with her family, so there is something meaningful there.
Right, I thought that was well done too, and sort of unexpected, and yet you could see why it was right. So
yeah. And I like that Martha's family, did have their little moment when Martha's mother tries to shoot the Master and she can't bring herself to do it. I thought that felt very real. So that was good.
And the mother looking out the window at the Doctor, and you can tell that she's had a complete reversal of change of heart, and yet, still she actually prevails.
I would love to see an episode though where Martha's mother and Rose's mother have a chat over tea about their daughters.
But no, they'd be competitive.
I know they would. That's why I want to see it.
You don't want to see 2 women. My daughter.
I don't know.
That's how mothers are.
Yeah.
Vicious.
My daughter saved the universe being a bad wolf. Well, my daughter saved the universe just being a human.
Yeah, it would be much more passive aggressive.
I'll let you say this.
Think Oscar Wilde. You have filled my tea with sugar.
I liked the professor character. I liked that she had a reasonable motive. I liked how they handled that because it was like, oh, is she going to betray them? And then it does. But then it turns out that they know that she's going to betray them. So I thought that was well done. Mm-hmm. You always want to have a twist on top of a twist. That too often I've seen things where it's like hinges on this revelation that we all saw coming. And here there's the revelation, but then there's a further one.
Right, and then also we had again, which we had in the earlier Bad Wolf time, the gun that it doesn't work, that isn't really anything. And I liked how the master, he was so, I mean, this is the kind of Nazi suicidal ideation. He was so wrapped up in his own romantic legend that he triumphed by beating the doctor, by dying and not regenerating. I thought that was very in keeping. That was really good. No Tinkerbell there. That was totally in keeping with his character.
Just really twisted. I'd rather beat you by dying than let you look after me. So
Then would have you win.
yeah.
You can't win. Yeah.
So I thought that was good. And I thought David Tennant's acting was good in that scene. Both actors were good.
What was the line? There was some line that he said that was exactly like what Trump is saying.
It's
about the
not
election.
fair when he
It's not fair. It's
Yeah.
not fair. That's what they always say. Not fair.
Yeah, that was really good. Let's see what else. So it's I don't know. It seems to me now that it's pretty much canon, unless something else happens later on that Captain Jack is the face of Bo, and I actually think that's kind of nice.
Oh, I thought that was great. I did not see that coming at all, and that totally worked. You knew it ahead of time by reading?
No,
Cheater?
No, I didn't cheat. One of my followers, you know which one,
You know who you are.
said after we saw Gridlock, some fans really like the idea of Captain Jack being the face of Bo.
Oh, thanks a lot. Spoilers much.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think it works great. And it's so appropriate. You can just imagine that as he goes through millions of billions of years and getting wiser and older. And,
yeah. I think it works. And apparently there's actually a spoiler if you listen to Gridlock. I haven't really been able to identify the Captain Jack theme, but apparently there is some musical theme with him. And as the face of Bo dies in Gridlock, you can hear this a faint echo of it. So anyway, Murray Gold is spoiling things along that.
I don't really know what the Captain Jack theme is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I guess it was in this one.
I'm gonna have to listen to the soundtrack.
I now can identify, and say, okay, it's not really Pirates of the Caribbean. The Doctor's theme, and then Rose's very
Martha's.
Martha's. I'm gonna do this every episode.
But don't worry, she's gone.
Martha's very Bond womany theme. I always can identify too.
Yeah. Let's hope the Doctor's gotten over Rose now. Yeah, I think Martha, from what I understand, is somewhat like a forgotten companion. She tends not to rank highly in the polls, but I thought she was really good. I thought they did a really good job for her this season, and considering we got introduced through Rose and she was sort of a focal point character, I think they did a really good job of getting us to like this character. And I do know that Martha did inspire a lot of young women of color and just young women, period, to go into being a doctor and everything. So that's a really nice legacy her character left.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else about this episode? Yeah, I like that end scene where Martha gives the professor the flowers.
Yes,
I thought that was a nice callback to everything.
I thought that they did come back to that child that you had objected to in the first episode. That was good. I didn't really understand. That went by really, really fast. I still feel that there was not enough tying the first episode to the last.
No, probably not. But I like that. Again, you were talking about how we always like to believe that humans are good. So I like that the last humans just give in to all the worst parts of humanity and becoming these monsters who just want to conquer and create a new empire and make Earth great again.
Well, when everything is gone.
Right.
And that's actually Deleuze and Guattari also talk about that, clearing everything away, destroying everything. Yeah, with the war machine. Yeah.
So I thought that was good. So I thought we had a really good look at human nature. We see the best of it with them bringing back the Doctor, and also the worst of it with the slicey spheres, whatever the Master was calling them. I don't know. Yeah, I feel
Toclafane.
Good.
Whatever that is. I think it was just
he just made it up.
Yeah, I wonder if I'd like to see the etymology to see if it has any interesting bearing on what's going on.
That poor actor Peterson, who played the Master, apparently had to speak out on social media a few years ago because he just kept being harassed because some people thought he didn't like him. in these episodes, and they're like, "How dare you go so over the top?" Blah blah blah. But I mean, I think it works.
Oh, I
'Cause
thought
he's
he
an
was
over the
good.
top person. So
Right.
I mean, and I think it's fun to have somebody who's like the Doctor in terms of going over the top, but in terms of just having so much fun and being evil.
Right. And I expect if he does represent, Tony Blair again, I haven't seen a lot of his public appearances, but I think it must have been really funny for Britons at the time to see always genial, smiling Tony Blair going manic.
I like the scene of the Dr. Burns. You talked about the Anglo-Saxon funeral. I thought that was a nice, effective scene.
Right, very Denethor, and that is, I think it's a typical one means of an Anglo-Saxon burial, and he was originally Saxon, right? Wasn't he Dr. Saxon? There was
John Saxon was his name.
Yeah, John Saxon.
Yeah, I do wonder what the British people thought. Like, what happened to our prime minister? But I know.
Well, their cabinet's totally gone. See, what do you mean? They didn't have any thoughts because they were all controlled by the drums, right?
Yeah, but when everything gets reset and so Saxon dies, and then I don't know. You'd think something would happen after that.
Was it reset to right after
It was
the prime
reset
minister
to
resigned, or
right after the president was killed?
president?
The
prime minister?
The president of the U.S. They said that we were.
Oh, I see. Okay, so so they don't have a.
Yeah, but I know that in England there's always constant changes in prime minister, so they probably just roll with it.
Well, I'm sure they have a mechanism.
I think
for
the
that.
idea is Torchwood probably does some quiet maneuverings and reassures the British people everything's fine. Probably that's in Torchwood season 2, if I had to guess. Anyway, so is there anything else about this one? I don't think so. So I'd give this episode an A.
Yeah.
Yeah. So each part got better. That's kind of unusual for a 3-part. I'm used to like the third part being the weakest, or either the first part or the middle part being the strongest. But I thought each part built. I mean, obviously the first part was a huge basement, but still each part built, and then it was very satisfying at the end.
Right.
So I'm really curious to hear from all of you about why is this episode disliked? Why were you so worried about what my mom would say, and why?
Probably the Tinkerbell syndrome.
Yeah, I think they thought that. Why you think that that's sort of an unforgivable Deus Ex Machina? And I'll just say also for me, I felt like that this was the best finale of those. Like the first one, I could roll with the Mystic TARDIS energy, but it was still, I could see your problems with it. The next one, it had a good sad ending, but the whole sucking into Daleks and the Cybermen to a wormhole, it was just sort of a techie solution. So I thought this one was the purest in a way.
I liked it. It just kind of addressed a lot of things that I'm concerned about, especially now. So that was good. Yeah.
So, yeah, really enjoyed it. I think Series 3 was really good. I think all 3 series have been really good. Yeah. So, yeah, great. Thank you for
Looking forward to the
watching.
next companion.
Well, first we're going to have a diversion on the Titanic
Yes.
with Clive Swift, who is in it. And, of course, he is famous for playing Richard Bucket.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him in a different role or maybe a similar role.
Okay.
I've never seen him in anything other than Keeping Up Appearances, so I'm curious to see what he's like in this. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.